Right now, something without a human brain is outsmarting you, and you have no idea. You assume you are the smartest thing in the room. You are wrong more often than you think. Somewhere on this planet, right now, an animal is solving a problem you could not solve. Not with brute force, not by accident. On purpose. And the strangest part is, we spent centuries refusing to believe it. Let's start with the test that broke a lot of assumptions. It's called the mirror test. Show most animals a mirror, and they react to it like a stranger. They threaten it, they ignore it, or they get bored. But a small handful of species do something different. They touch their own face. They check a mark that was secretly painted on their body, a mark they could only see in the reflection. That means they understand the reflection is them. Chimpanzees pass this test. So do orcas, elephants, and magpies. Magpies are birds. Birds with brains the size of a walnut, recognizing their own reflection. For decades, scientists assumed self-recognition required a primate brain. Magpies proved that wrong, with a piece of anatomy nowhere close to ours.
Now go smaller. Go to a crow. New Caledonian crows do not just use tools, they build them. Give a crow a straight piece of wire and a task that requires a hook, and it will bend the wire into a hook using its beak and feet, with no training, no demonstration, on the first try. Some crows go further. They will bend a tool to solve one problem, then modify that same tool to solve a second problem in sequence. That is not instinct. That is planning. 2 steps ahead. Crows also remember human faces for years. Insult a crow once, and it will recognize you in a crowd, warn other crows about you, and that warning can spread through the local crow population. You become flagged, permanently, in a bird's memory. Then there is the octopus, and the octopus breaks the rules completely. 2/3 of its neurons are not in its brain. They are distributed through its arms. Each arm can taste what it touches, react to stimuli, and solve small problems semi-independently, almost like it has 8 partial brains, working with one central one. Octopuses open jars from the inside. They escape tanks through gaps barely wider than their beak, the only rigid part of their body. Aquariums have documented octopuses leaving their own tank at night, crossing the floor, eating fish from a neighboring tank, and returning to their own water before morning staff arrived. No one taught them that. They figured it out, and then hid the evidence. Whisper. Elephants carry grief in a way that looks uncomfortably familiar. They return to the bones of dead herd members, years later. They touch the skull and tusks gently with their trunk, sometimes for long stretches of time, in what researchers describe as behavior closely resembling mourning. Elephants have also been observed helping other species in distress, pulling stuck animals free from mud with no apparent benefit to themselves. That is not a reflex. That is something closer to empathy, wanting a brain 3 times the size of yours.
Dolphins take it further, into language. Each dolphin develops a unique signature whistle, essentially a name, used by other dolphins to call to it specifically. Dolphins have been recorded responding when another dolphin's signature whistle is played back to them, even years after that dolphin has died. They also use tools, wearing sea sponges on their beaks to protect themselves while foraging on sharp coral seafloor, a skill passed down from mother to calf. Not instinct, culture. Even something as small as a bee complicates the picture. Bees can learn to pull a string to get a reward. They can watch another bee do it first and copy the technique. And once one bee in a colony learns the trick, that knowledge can spread through the group, the way a piece of gossip spreads through a room. A colony of insects with a single functioning brain smaller than a grain of rice, transmitting culture. Here is what all of these examples share. None of them think the way you think. A crow does not solve problems using language. An octopus does not have a centralized mind the way you do. A bee has no concept of self in any way we understand it. And yet, every one of them is doing something we used to believe only humans could do. Recognizing themselves, planning ahead, remembering grudges, mourning loss,
inventing tools.
For most of history, intelligence was measured by one yardstick. Can it do what a human does? If an animal failed that test, it was labeled instinctive, mechanical, simple. But that yardstick was never measuring intelligence. It was measuring similarity to us. And the more scientists look past that bias, the more minds they keep finding, hidden inside bodies that don't look anything like ours. A brain distributed through 8 arms, a memory system that outlives a bird for years, a grief response inside an animal that will never speak a single word. So the next time you look at an animal and assume there is nothing complex happening behind its eyes, remember the crow that is quietly building a tool it invented itself. Remember the octopus slipping out of its tank at midnight. Somewhere, right now, something without a human brain is thinking. You just were not built to notice it. If this changed the way you see the world around you, there's more of this waiting. Subscribe, because the next mind we uncover might be even stranger than this one.